You gotta give me one thing. I'm a scary judge of talent.
Adolphus Washington back-to-back plays.
The Detroit Pistons select Luke Kennard from Duke University.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Triple Double Podcast. My name's Corey Albertson of Triple Double Prospects. Jason Morrow of 270 Hoops is in here. And before we go any further, I want to first congratulate Jay Morrow and Zach Fleer on a great Battle for the City event. Got to go up there on, what was the first day, Tuesday?
Yep.
Got to go up there on Tuesday and watch the underclassmen. Spent the whole evening watching the sophomores and the freshmen. Didn't get to see any juniors, but some really talented young kids in Columbus, especially the outskirts, the small towns. And they've done a really good job with that format where you've got the suburban league playing the city league and then playing the kind of mix of the few Catholic school kids they have, plus the kids from kind of the outskirts rural areas. So really fun games. Congratulations to them. That was a great event, and I think it's only going to continue to grow. So we've been gone for about 2 weeks now. Wanted to let everybody enjoy the NCAA tournament. Certainly been busy on our end. Jason and I were both doing the Ohio State high school tournament, the Final Four, then watching NCAA tournament games like you guys. So almost basketballed out, but we wanted to come at you guys today with another podcast episode and talk about a couple things. Basically, the goal here, I want to recap the states, want to talk a little bit about the NCAA tournament, and basically give you guys a rundown of what my plan is as a scout between now and when the live period starts at the end of April for Division I schools to come out and recruit. And then the last thing I want to talk about is a little bit of some of the job openings and the coaching carousel and how that affects us as scouts. So the first thing I want to talk about, and Jason, feel free to hop in here if you want, is the state tournament experience. And we talked with Tuck when he was on here a couple months ago now about flying to the hoop and how that's a great social experience. You get to hang out with some people you don't see a lot. The States is very similar. You get to hang out with a lot of different people, talk a lot of basketball, especially some of the small town guys that you don't really see. I got to sit with Kurt Stubbs and TJ Petras and all weekend, saw Jason, saw Zach a lot, saw John Stovall of ESPN a lot. So great basketball experience. And what's fun with the state tournament is that the recruiting buzz is really in the air. You've got high school job openings. You've got college job openings. You've got unsigned seniors. You've got young players who people are starting to make, their first impressions on. You've got college transfers. You've got high school transfers. And the last one is you've got circuit decisions as to who people are going to play AAU with. So the buzz of the state tournament is unbelievable, and we certainly enjoyed that this year. A lot of buzz in the crowd about Jeff Bowles, Ohio University graduate, getting the Ohio University head coaching job. Coach Bowles, who's been on this podcast, was a long-time Ohio State assistant, but most recently was at Stony Brook University. And the other buzz I think that we saw this state tournament from a recruiting standpoint was the kid Ben Roderick from Olentangy Liberty. Had a really big game against Akron St. Vincent St. Mary's. His team did not win, but he put up a lot of points, made some shots, showed some ability to create some offense. And, of all the mid-major schools that were there watching, everybody really seemed to gravitate towards him and jump on him. And I posted an article a couple days before the state tournament regarding who the top unsigned seniors are that colleges are looking at in the state of Ohio. And he was on the top of the list. And I think with his performance, he's going to stay on the top of the list. From a scouting service perspective, the state tournament is probably as good of a high school evaluation as you can get, and maybe as good of an evaluation as you can get all year long. The competition's going to be high level. but it's high school games where there's a lot of structure. There's a scouting report, and then there's so much to play for, given the crowd, given the stakes of the state tournament. The expectation is for the seniors to play a really good game. So, for college coaches, for scouts like myself, getting to see Ben Roderick or any of the kids from any of the teams that are seniors or unsigned to play on that level, you really get a feel for this is where they stand maturity wise, and those type of evaluations help guys like me determine the impactability of a kid as a freshman or a sophomore in college, and really how highly they're going to be recruited. And then for the young players, it really shows you their maturity in terms of ability to handle the bright lights. So one kid I wanted to talk about was the top 10, depending on who you ask, in the country, and I'll get into all that. But Chris Livingston from Akron-Buchtel caught some fouls early in the game, didn't get to play a whole lot in the first half, and came out, had a really good second half, attacked the rim, was really aggressive, and his composure in the moment, I think, is one of the things that if people ask me as a scout, how do you differentiate a kid between being the number one player in the class and maybe the number 5 or 6 player, and sometimes it's off raw talent, but when you look at a kid like Livingston, his raw talent, his athleticism combined with his ability to be poised and to kind of be a leader as a freshman in that game was extremely, extremely impressive to me, especially playing against a really good team in Trotwood Madison, who ended up winning the Division II state championship. One thing, Jason, I was hoping you could talk about this. Attendance is historically down at the state tournament. Schottenstein Center cannot be cheap for the OHSAA to rent, and you had a answer as to why that was down.
Well, I think that the main reason people are kind of freaking out about the numbers, saying, well, attendance is down. Well, now that the boys tournament has gone to the format of what the girls tournament's always been, where each division is now a session, it kind of throws that number off, and people think, well, it's really down. But in the old days, you were getting, if somebody went to each game each day, you were getting to count that person 4 times versus counting them only twice now with the different sessions. And I think that's kind of throwing it off. But I also think, like we talked about in our big group chat, is having the NCAA tournament at the same time was a big hurt this year. And other than outside of Chris Livingston, I don't know that there was a name that is even somewhat nationally known, probably, that that would probably that would draw the people in like there have been in years past. And I think that's really hurt them too.
Ben, your example for the or your theory for the semifinals makes perfect sense, but for the finals, I know for the Division I final between Cincinnati Moeller and Akron St. Vincent St. Mary's, they drew like less than 7,000 people. I mean, that's not good.
No, that's not good at all. And I know you're gonna laugh at this, but like when we had a team like Upper Arlington who brought the entire, even though it was only 2 miles down the road, brought the entire community to come out to the game. And even Moeller does have a really good student section. I will say that, for being a private school, and traditionally people think private schools don't draw well. Moeller usually brings a lot of students. I don't know that the casual fan on a Saturday night when the NCAA tournament's going on would rather be at the state tournament or would rather be at home watching the NCAA.
And then I don't think they make their money off student sections. I mean, those are,
I don't. That's not where the money is made in the all session books that the coaches get and all that kind of stuff too. Mm-hmm. So
some of the other things that I wrote right down for why the attendance is down, and you said it. So like one of the best Final Fours that I can remember in terms of atmospheres was when Wilmington played Lima Senior in the semifinal, because you've got, Lima community where there aren't college or pro sports. High school basketball is a really big deal. And then Wilmington, which is an even bigger example of the same thing, but a smaller community than Lima, where they only have one school. But those are the type of schools you want. I know I was thinking Norwalk from Northern Ohio made the Division II. They won Division II state tournament not too long ago. They had an unbelievable crowd, and I thought Trotwood would replicate that a little bit. Their crowd was okay. I thought it would be a little bit better, but those are certainly the communities you want.
Yeah, and I think going back to that 16 Final Four, having 4, I guess that would be 4 public schools too. And that's a rarity nowadays to have 4 public schools that all played each other, with Garfield Heights, Westerville, South Lima Senior, and Wilmington. Like I think it's 4 communities too. Like the Westerville community was pretty strong that year when they came in, because they had made it the year before and were really looking to win it all that next year.
Well, the session split seemed to work well from a scout or a media perspective.
Yeah.
I think from a logistics perspective of the people running the games, I think it was a little bit better. I don't really know the answer as to how that would affect ticket sales. To me, it would be more attractive to go to the games if I was buying from a split session perspective. But like you said, the private schools are bad. Social media is another thing. It's so easy to follow the games. Now you can get the championship games on TV. You can follow the semifinal games on just about anybody's social
And I
media.
think this year you could buy on Spectrum, I believe you could buy per game. It was $10 per game, and you could buy if it was like pay-per-view for Spectrum customers, and you could watch the game at home or watch the game anywhere, even if you weren't a Spectrum customer. So that might be another draw, is just to keep people at home. Now, I don't know what those numbers
Well, I didn't know that, and that's huge because one of the things, if you're a casual fan, let's say you went to Cleveland St. Edward, and you don't want to go down for all the games, but if you're going to go down there, you're gonna spend $20+ in gas. You're going to spend all the money to get in the game. If you want a good seat, you're going to spend money on food. You're going to maybe get a hotel if they win, and you can watch it. A TV presentation is going to do a good job on Spectrum for $10. Oh, that's going to kill the attendance. And maybe they make more money on that in the long run. I don't know. I wouldn't think so, but that's very interesting. I had no idea you could do that. That's for semifinals?
I believe so. I'm checking now, but I'm pretty sure that I saw that originally. Yeah. All semifinal boys games will be streamed live for $9.99 per game, free for Spectrum subscribers. So, I mean, if you just wanted to, like you said, you just want to go down for 2 games, but you want to watch NCAA tournament games, you can get that third and fourth game for $9.99 a piece if you're not subscribed to Spectrum.
Dude, in 2014, you used to be able to get Spectrum game, like the game of the week, and it would almost always be an OCC Columbus game, and Stubbs was the guy on the oh my God, high level with Stubbs.
Well, that's where Stubbs watched all of his games that weren't in the OCC too. It was on Spectrum. So.
Absolutely. Well, Stubbs, first of all, yeah, Stubbs is having a baby this week, so we'll lay off Stubbs a little bit, but yeah, God, that guy is just tremendous. So to recap the state tournament real quick, everybody thought Cincinnati Mower was a lock in Division I. They ended up getting it done, but really, really good state final with Akron St. Vincent St. Mary. Can never count Drew Joyce out, even when he, for once, maybe the first time he's ever been in the state final where he had less talent than the opponent. But after losing to Moeller by like near 40 in the regular season down here in Cincinnati, plays them right till the end, was, I believe, leading in the fourth quarter at some point. I know it was tied after the third quarter. Really, really good game. Credit to those kids, but Moeller does get it done. First team since 2005, 2006 to repeat as Division I state champions. First team since I think it was 1995 to go undefeated in Division I after having that bubble burst in the state final 2 years ago. So a really good 3-year run for Moore. They're probably going to keep it going, but congratulations to Coach Kramer on that. Hope to have him back on the podcast soon to talk a little bit about that. Division II, the best game of the weekend by far and away. I know Jason and Zach probably wouldn't say so. Didn't go their way at the end, but Trotwood Madison defeats Columbus South. Went down to the wire. 2 really fast-paced, City League style type of teams. South was just played that underdog role to the T, but didn't back down one bit. Really good junior guard and Travell Adams. Some seniors, Treon Watkins, another junior, Marcus Johnson. I don't know what the big kid's name is.
Oh, Sammy. I could think of his last name. It's number 23. Yeah, Sammy. I could think of his last name off the top of my head. But, that South team, I kind of went into the game thinking, like, man, if they could just keep it close, like, I was kind of worried the way Trotwood plays. South will play up and down, but they can kind of play at any speed based on the teams that they're playing. But I kind of thought going to that game, I was a little worried that Trotwood might kind of run them out. And in the first quarter, it kind of started to lean that way. But give South all the credit. They really fought back, took the lead. We're up 11 at one point in the third quarter, and was up 8 with 5 minutes to go. But Trotwood just kind of being Trotwood got a couple buckets, and then if you're lazy, I always say about Trotwood, you got to play 32 minutes because even the laziest inbounds pass, there was one with about 3 minutes to go. Little inbounds pass got stolen for a layup, and it's little plays like that. With Trotwood, that's how they get it done.
What I want to give Trotwood credit for in winning the state is that you said they were down 11 in the third quarter, and I think the crowd for Trotwood is like, oh my God, we've been here 3 years in a row and we screwed it up again. for the third straight year, we're the favorites, and we don't bring it home. And that, Amari Davis is a senior, really kind of was like, all right, this is going to happen. And, made enough plays down the stretch. I know Amari made like his last 4 shots of the game. And, that was a great, great game. And South, I mean, they had a senior in Treon Watkins, but a lot of their kids are young. And I mean, I would think without looking at anything else on paper, they might be the Division II favorites next year as of today.
Yeah, and the thing about Coach Ramon Spears down at South is he builds from within. They have Zach always talks about it, but they have a really strong JV program, and they're probably I would consider them the premier program in the City League in terms of from the ground up the way he's built it. I mean, when he was his very first year, they were 1-21, and he just kind of built every single year, and now they get back there, and I think that they'll definitely be in that discussion yet again next year.
Division III, Columbus Harvest Prep wins it. I call them Columbus Harvest Prep because they have kids from Columbus, but I know they're Canal Winchester. But Division III was what we were talking about earlier, where bad for the attendance possibly. You had 4 private schools with Lutheran East out of Cleveland, Purcell Marion out of Cincinnati, and Cardinal Stritch out of the Toledo area. A lot of talent in that division. And Harvest Prep had the best team, and they deservedly won the state championship. But Lutheran East has guys. Harvest Prep has a stud and junior point guard C.J. Anthony, who was Ohio's Division III Player of the Year. Purcell Marion has talent. Stritch has talent. And in Division III, I don't know if we've seen that level of prospect in a long, long time.
Yeah, Harvest Prep with C.J. Anthony, he's just a bulldog. He goes and gets it. He can shoot it. But, the thing is he's been a really good leader for that team all year. Last year they got here and lost to Afrocentric in a really close game. To see them get back and then get over the hump against Purcell Marion in a very good semifinal game, which, I don't know what other people were thinking. I felt like that was going to be the championship game because those two were kind of the perceived favorites all year long.
Right, and Purcell I think was frustrated that offensively they did not have a good day. Most of that's dictated by Harvest Prep's defense, but that was a good game. And Lutheran East is still young. I mean, and they were there last year, they were there this year, and if you're talking about on paper favorites, they've got to be the favorite next year, where they'll be juniors and seniors instead of sophomores and juniors. But they certainly put up a fight in that game, but Harvest Prep's a little too much. Division IV, Convoy Crestview, just a cut above everyone else. Some good teams in Division IV this year. Berlin Highland, makes it to the championship game. But you look at 6'6", 6'7", Javen Etzler going to Miami, Ohio. You look at 6'8", Kalen Etzler, arguably the top sophomore in the state of Ohio. And then they've got the other kid that plays the forward that's going to play football at Air Force. And they just have too much size, too much athleticism. Javen Etzler in particular really impressed me. I think there were some questions about him when he committed to Miami, Ohio regarding physicality, and seeing him at flying to the hoop and then seeing him twice this weekend. And he really answered a lot of those questions to me. He had double-figure rebounds in both games, I believe, was physical around the rim, and he can really, really make shots, but he can make them out of the mid-post facing up. He can make them out of the catch and shoot in the 3. He'll make them out of the pick and pop. And when he's got, college-level guards at Miami, Ohio, I think in time, as he continues to get stronger, he's going to be a really, really good player. Moving on now, NCAA Sweet 16. I don't know if this is going to go up before the games. We're recording this on Thursday, about 7 hours before the first tip-off. But I want to talk about a couple things regarding the round of 32, round of 64 games. And the first thing I want to say is this, is I've spent the last month watching high school basketball tournaments, some high-level games, some good players. Sunday, I went to the round of 32 games, got to see Tennessee play Iowa and North Carolina play Washington. And until you watch them live, I watched on a computer all weekend, but until you watch them live, you forget those guys are good players, man. And, for high school players, I think, watching college basketball all year is great, but really watch the NCAA tournament and watch the competitiveness of it, how hard those guys play, how physical those guys are. But, when you're evaluating yourself and you're telling everybody that you're being slept on, that, no one's giving you your credit, and you want to keep working, but just watch these guys and understand, am I this good of a player yet? The answer is probably no, because most of the guys playing in the NCAA tournament, unless it's Duke or Kentucky, most of them are older kids, juniors, seniors, maybe sophomores in college. But that's what you want to build towards is, I would work on the stuff that you see in that game as opposed to the stuff you see in the NBA game, because that's the stuff that's going to give you a better chance to go to those levels. Moving on to the NCAA tournament. I want to talk about, and it's so sick. Stubbs tweeted this out. I had literally just written it on my script, which is I'm a big fan of not having upsets in the round of 64 and 32, because you've got the best 15 teams in the country plus an Oregon team that's very good heading into tonight's matchups, heading into Friday's Sweet 16 matchups. I would much rather have blowouts by teams like Duke, Kentucky, North Carolina in the first 2 rounds and set up. We're at a point now in the NCAA tournament where I don't think we're going to get a bad game the rest of the way. So anybody you like?
I mean, I'm a Duke fan, so.
Laura's a Duke fan. So I'll make some picks here. I think you've got Duke over Virginia Tech tonight, or is that tomorrow? Tomorrow. I think you've got Michigan State over LSU in what could be a really good game. That might be the sneaky best game of the 16 round. And then that would set up a Duke-Michigan State regional final, which would potentially be epic. I would give Duke the edge, but I could see that going either way.
I think one of the bigger games, a lot of people are talking, I don't know how much people are talking about it, but I think the Michigan-Texas Tech game, like we talked about earlier, is going to be, I mean, that's a Texas Tech team. That's going to be a tall challenge for a Michigan team that, it's just very interesting to see those two go at it.
I agree. I wonder what the distractions are with Texas Tech. Chris Beard is mentioned with every single job that's open right now. And, I mean, that's not his fault, but that would be a distraction. I like Michigan. Michigan just gets it done in the tournament. I mean, outside of Michigan State, it feels like they can beat anybody. I do like Michigan in that matchup.
Does Michigan always have trouble with Michigan State, or is it with the rivals?
You know what? I don't know the answer to that.
I know in the other sport that Michigan has trouble with the rivals. So I was just curious. I know you said that about Michigan State. So.
That's like just a funny thing with Michigan and their rivals.
Yeah, something to do with that.
Do you even consider them a rival?
Yeah, we do. We consider, in football, we consider Michigan a rival. Even though Cincinnati likes to think they're a rival with us, they're not.
Right.
So.
Right. It's mid-major football at Cincinnati, right? So the other game in that one is Gonzaga. I think Gonzaga gets past Florida State. And for me, it would be Michigan versus Gonzaga in the Elite Eight. And I'm going to be in the minority here. I would take Michigan. But I know Gonzaga's everybody's sweetheart. I favor the Big Ten schedule that they had to go through. And I'll take Michigan in a good game there. In the South, Virginia, I like them to get past Oregon. Oregon's had a great run considering all the injuries they've been through, but I think it probably ends tonight. And Tennessee-Purdue is the game I'm most excited to see this evening. I got to see Tennessee live last week. They were unbelievable in the first half. They were up 23 at the break. I don't think they missed the ball from 3, and then the second half they didn't guard anybody. So we'll see what Tennessee. Purdue is up and down offensively. I do think that it comes down to Virginia and Tennessee, and I am going to go out on a limb here because I kind of like the way they play. I'm going to say Tennessee gets it done. Virginia, until they get to the Final Four, are always going to have that stigma that they can't get it done in March. And the last one, the Midwest, UNC Auburn's a good game. I will take UNC. UK, Kentucky, I think they get past Houston. North Carolina versus Kentucky regional final would be the bandwagon fans of the year getting together. I'm going to go with the Prescott pick, and I'm going to say Kentucky gets that one done. Let's talk about now the high major coaching carousel. And the reason that affects guys like us that do scouting is it affects our subscriptions. So if I have, Alabama just changed jobs. If I have Alabama as a subscriber of mine and their coaching staff gets fired, well, now I no longer have them as a client. So for scouts, we want to really monitor who is getting these head coaching jobs, and probably more importantly, who is getting these assistant coaching jobs. So who got Alabama? Nate Oates from Buffalo got Alabama. And, that's good for somebody like me because he's got Midwestern ties. He's from Michigan. He'll recruit into Ohio when he was at Buffalo. And if he hires Midwestern assistants, that's going to help me have a better chance to get them as a client. That being said, now that he's at Alabama, they're obviously going to recruit down in the South more, SEC territory. So that's what we look at in looking at these. There's a lot of buzz this year, maybe more buzz than we've had in recent years with openings. I did this a couple days ago, and it's already changed so much. I wrote down Alabama. That got filled again by Nate Oates. UNLV got filled. Vanderbilt's open. Washington State's open. UCLA's open. Texas A&M's open. California has not been filled yet, to my knowledge. Nebraska's open and Arkansas's open. So you've got a lot of big-time jobs open. And then you got the speculation. So there's speculation that a place like LSU will open due to some of the NCAA amateurism, money situations. There is speculation that due to guys taking other jobs that, again, Chris Beard at Texas Tech might leave, Buzz Williams at Virginia Tech might leave, Shaka Smart at Texas might leave. So people are asking, who are some of the candidates? Steve Prohm at Iowa State just re-upped for several years at Iowa State. He was considered a guy who was going to be in the mix for all those jobs. So big time move by Iowa State to pick him up. Jason, I'll ask you one. What do you think about a guy like Thad Matta? Is he going to get back in it?
I just don't see Thad getting back into coaching. I think he's happy where he is, but I mean, I could be wrong on that. But I think now he lives in Indianapolis with his daughters, and they're going to college. Like I just don't see him getting back into. I know his name's going to be one of those perennial, like when John Gruden went to ESPN for the NFL, like his name's going to get thrown into every job that's open. But I just don't see it, but it might happen. But I personally don't think that'll happen.
Some of the other names I've seen of guys who are not in college coaching who are linked to these jobs. You've got Jason Kidd. Saw a report that said that he's too far away on his degree to probably be considered for a college job. You do have to have a degree to coach at that level. John Thompson III is doing ESPN stuff, has been linked to a number of jobs. Seen him linked most closely to Vanderbilt, I believe. Fred Hoiberg, who is no longer coaching in the NBA, but is an NBA guy, seriously linked to Nebraska. It sounds like people think he's going to take it. And then the wild card would be Reckless Rick. Is anybody going to pull the trigger on Rick Pitino? What do you think? Is
there any sort of show cause or anything that comes with hiring him now? I don't know if the NCAA ever, as part of that, because I know that, Jim Tressel there for a while had a high state football, like they couldn't hire him for 5 years or whatever without showing cause. Like, I think that'd be interesting. I don't think so. But that'd be interesting to see if any school even considers him, like kind of puts a flyer out in the media, like, hey, we're considering him to see what the reaction would be.
I mean, if you're Arkansas or somebody like that, and you haven't been very competitive in your league, he's going to win, he's going to get players, you're going to have some other stuff linked to you, but you've got to judge, is it worth it?
Right. And I think in college basketball today, I think is that not one of the more interesting questions is it worth it?
Oh, absolutely. No, it's a huge question. So the other ones being these mid-major coaches, or even high major coaches like Houston, I think is a high major in my opinion. Will Kelvin Sampson move on? He's been seriously linked to Arkansas. He'll be linked to any jobs that open in Texas, any of those Southwestern type of jobs. Houston has a lot of money in their program. Will they be able to retain him? Nate Oates was on this list, but has already taken a job at Alabama. Russell Turner from UC Irvine. People expect that he'll get either Cal or Washington State. So this is the great time of year with the mid-majors where, if they can have a successful end-of-season run, they can lock up a bigger job and a bigger payday for themselves. And then you've also got the mid-major turnover, and that's really where we see our subscription numbers go up and down regionally. And for somebody like me, Ohio U opens up. They were a client of mine. Having Jeff Bowles, who's a friend of mine who's been on the podcast, get that job is beneficial. And then having, his associate head coach, Gino Ford, another Ohio guy, retain the head coaching position at Stony Brook when Bowles leaves is also great because that increases my chance to keep Stony Brook as a client. Bowles to Ohio U makes a lot of sense. I think you're going to see some movement there. I mean, I think there's a process in fixing some of the things there, but he will be able to get people excited about that job. The other one down my way in terms of Kentucky, where Mora lives, you've got will NKU open up and will Murray State open up. John Brandon, NKU, has been linked to a number of high major jobs, made the NCAA tournament second time in 3 years. Wouldn't be surprised if somebody threw a payday at him. He's definitely done a hell of a job at NKU. But NKU is interesting because with Wright State, I think you can argue that it's now an elite job, a top 2 job in the Horizon League. So for somebody like Coach Brandon to leave NKU, you'd have to have an opportunity to win and have sustainability at that program. And I think he'll be tough to get unless it's the right situation. Last one, Ron Hunter to Tulane. Georgia State opens up, sneaky good job. A lot of guys in the South are being mentioned there. We've already seen jobs like Temple filled, so the best mid-major job open, probably Georgia State. So and like I said earlier, guys, for us, the even bigger issue right now is monitoring these assistant coaching changes, trying to fill that carousel. That takes even longer. That takes well after the Final Four, sometimes only days or a week or two before the April Live period starts. And you walk into a April Live period recruiting event and you see a guy and he's wearing a different polo shirt for a different school. So we'll definitely be monitoring that, trying to get more subscribers and figure out where everybody's at. And then what I'm working on this week is probably my least favorite thing I do all year in basketball, which is trying to send out to all the colleges who all the top kids in Southwest Ohio and then the very top kids in all of Ohio are playing AAU with, playing on the circuit with this year. And that is a huge pain in the ass project. I'm sure you guys have done that with 270.
Yeah, we've done that in the past. And it's just like playing whack-a-mole, because you can say a kid's going to one school, one program, then all of a sudden 2 days later he's going somewhere else. So
yeah, I wrote on my thing, I wrote AAU team as of 3/26/19, put an asterisk next to it. So doing my best for that. There's been a lot of social media rants going on. I think I agree with them that it's extremely important to pick an AAU team this year, as you only get one April and one July live period for Division I. You get a little bit better deal for Division II. But with the limited days, we're going to see the college coaches. They're going to focus, number one, on 17 and under. They're going to focus a little bit on 16 and under. If you're 15 and under this year, it almost doesn't matter who you play AAU with, guys, because you're just not going to get seen very much. At 16 and under, it's important. At 17 and under, it is extremely, extremely crucial. Certainly have a lot of the guys down in my area, Southwest Ohio. We've been fortunate to have a new circuit level team, and we've got a lot of guys playing for circuit level teams. So that's good in terms of exposure, but it's not the only thing. If you're not on a circuit level team, that's not a problem at all. I think you want to make sure that you're playing with a program that's got connections to talk to college coaches, to draw them to your games. I want to make sure that I'm playing in a good event, that's certified event, that's going to draw college coaches. And I just want to make sure that I'm playing for a coach that's going to present the program properly in terms of organization and having the right type of guys that want to be college players.
Do you think, and I got a question for you, do you think the NCAA is going to learn the error of their ways in terms of how they've handled this live period for this year?
I think they have no choice. I think this is not a situation, and correct me if I'm wrong, where it is 80-20 that don't like it. It's not a situation where it's 90-10 of people that don't like it. It is 100-0. I have not seen one positive thing written about on social media from a player, from a parent, from a AAU coach, from a college coach, from anything.
Even from the state association.
Even state association.
I saw one the other day where Florida said basically like we're not. I think I saw a statement saying
Florida,
we're not going to do it, pretty much.
So I don't remember the exact list. I should have looked this up, but I know like New York is on the list, and I believe Texas is on the list, and Florida is on the list now. I wonder if California is. I might be making that up. But now, if you take just Florida, Texas, and New York, that's a huge portion of the population of the United States.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably a good
3 of the top 4 with Texas, right?
Yep, I would say.
Yeah, so it's not a good situation. I think the NCAA is going to have no chance or no choice. They'll probably make minor adjustments to something in between what it was and what it is now, but there's just no way. When you look at the June camps, I don't think we're going to see an efficient recruiting process for the kids or the college coaches. I don't think we're going to see anybody make a whole lot of money.
No.
Which that's going to affect the NCAA. If no one's making money, no one's going to be happy. So I don't see this lasting much longer. But for the kids and AAU coaches and of course the college coaches, they got to make the most out of this year. And in doing that, you just got to make sure you're playing in the right event for those 2 live periods. And that's really all you can do. And outside of that, not to glamorize what we do, but you've got to hope that, in the non-Division I live periods that enough scouting service guys get a chance to observe you. If you've got more Division II kids, you go to an event like Speed's Run and Slam, you get to see a lot of Division II coaches out at your game, which is great. But it's going to be very interesting. I hope it doesn't negatively impact the kids in the class of 2020. There's 17 under this year. I think it will. I think you're going to have to see more hasty evaluations.
More transfers in the long run. More transfers is going to be one of the big things.
Without question. So, the results can only be predicted, but no, I'm not. I'm really, really not thrilled with it. And I think what it also does is, the less amount of time that you allow these kids to be evaluated by college coaches, the more pressure it puts on the kid. And that might sound good from an evaluation standpoint in that it's
a higher leverage situation.
Exactly, just like playing in the state tournament. But at the end of the day, is that beneficial for the kids in terms of, are they going to play their best basketball? No. And then, you've also got college coaches that are going to have to worry about running from gym to gym because they have to maximize their 3 days. So even the viewings aren't going to be really full viewing. So no, it's not a good situation, especially April, which is such a short period. The July period being the 5 days, you've got opportunities for guys to travel a little bit, but still not great. So no, we'll see, but not a good situation. But in terms of everybody that doesn't work for the NCAA has got to make the most out of it. So that's all I had. Do you have anything?
No, that was it.
All right, guys. So I know it was a little bit of a kind of mismatched episode of a bunch of stuff. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. We're going to be back next week with all but 4 teams out of the NCAA tournament, with the high school officially over, AAU getting ready to start. We're going to have some more college coaches on here, going to have some more AAU coaches, high school coaches, different guys on here, really going to jump back into the off-season podcast, which I think we had tremendous success. I look back, I'm pretty happy with what we did in the winter. We just hit the 1-year mark, not in terms of our release date, but we hit the 1-year mark in terms of our first recording because Jason, Zach, and I recorded at the state tournament before the Division I final over a year ago. So I appreciate everybody that's been listening. That was the Triple Double Podcast. For Jason Morrow, I'm Corey Albertson. Thanks, guys. This podcast is brought to you by PlayEasy.com. For players, coaches, or casual athletes looking to book a sports facility, as well as owners and managers of sports facilities, PlayEasy.com is the new one-stop site for streamlined services. If you're looking for a place to practice, play, host your tournament, camp, or other, simply go to PlayEasy.com and create a booking request for your area. Your request will go out to surrounding facilities who will respond with their best offer. Once you receive the offer that best fits your needs, book the facility and you're ready to play. For facility owners and managers, PlayEasy puts the power in your hands to maximize the usage and visibility of your facility. Register your facility for free today at PlayEasy.com. PlayEasy.com is the booking site built by athletes, coaches, and facility managers, and is proud to help bring you the Triple Double Podcast. This podcast is also brought to you by Anago Cleaning Systems. Are you tired of struggling in a dead-end job? If so, Anago Cleaning Systems has what you're looking for, an opportunity to go into business for yourself, but not by yourself. With franchising opportunities available for as little as a $2,500 down payment, purchasing an Anago franchise has never been easier. Once you own your Anago franchise, you're licensed to clean commercial facilities all around the greater Cincinnati, Dayton, or Columbus areas with the support of Anago's sales, quality control, operational, and accounting staff. Call 513-332-0033 today for your opportunity to be your own boss and grow your own commercial cleaning company under the guidance of Anago's proven and successful system. Again, call 513-332-0033 to learn more. With Anago, your future starts today.